You know, in the world of Los Angeles politics, it's pretty rare to see a genuine shock to the system. But that's exactly what happened in 2020, thanks to an urban planner and activist named Nithia Ramen. Now, she has her eyes on the mayor's office, and she's trying to do it all over again. So let's dive into the story of this political outsider who is shaking the very foundations of LA City Hall. And look, that wasn't just some campaign slogan. When Nithya Ramen won her city council seat back in 2020, the LA Times, the paper of record for the city, they're the ones who called it a political earthquake. This was a huge upset, a victory that basically put the entire political establishment on notice. So, what exactly caused a tremor that big? Well, the final number kind of tells the whole story. 52.87%. That was her winning margin in the runoff election against the incumbent David Rue. Now, in a city where incumbents almost never lose, this wasn't just a win. It was a decisive statement that, frankly, almost nobody saw coming.
Let that sink in for a second. For 2 entire decades, once you got a seat on the LA City Council, you pretty much had a seat for life. Rama completely shattered that precedent. So the real question becomes, who is this person, and how on earth did she manage to break down that wall?
To really get Nithya Ramen's politics, you have to understand her path. It wasn't forged in the usual back rooms or political circles. Nope, it came from grassroots activism and urban planning, a journey that took her from LA all the way to the other side of the world and back. So here's a quick look at her journey. After getting these impressive degrees from Harvard and MIT, she didn't just jump into politics. She actually spent 7 years in India, where she founded an initiative to map slums and fight for the city's poorest residents. And when she came back to LA, she co-founded a homeless coalition. You start to see this pattern emerging, right? A relentless focus on urban poverty.
And this quote, "This is where everything changes." While she was working for the city, Raman was given an assignment to write a report on how LA was spending money on homelessness. And what she found didn't just shock her, it basically lit the fuse for her entire political career.
Here it is, the number that changed everything for her. She found that nearly 90%, of the city's $100 million homelessness budget wasn't going to services, or outreach, or housing. It was being spent to jail people. And that one discovery is what turned her from a researcher into a full-blown activist. So what did she do? She co-founded Salah, a coalition focused on a compassionate, community-first approach to the homelessness crisis. She wasn't just writing reports anymore. She was on the ground trying to build an alternative. And this, right here, became the foundation of her entire political identity.
And she took that activist mindset with her straight into City Hall. Since she's been on the council, her time has been defined by this really ambitious policy agenda aimed at systemic change, especially when it comes to housing and the environment.
As the chair of the Housing and Homelessness Committee, her focus has been crystal clear. She championed a major tenant harassment ordinance to protect renters, pushed for more housing density, and set some pretty bold climate goals. But one of her most controversial battles has been over the city's so-called mansion tax.
Okay, let's break this down. On the left, you've got the goal of Measure ULA, tax big money property sales to pay for affordable housing. Simple enough. But Raman, who actually supported it at first, later argued it was having unintended consequences. Her argument was that the tax was accidentally stalling the construction of new apartment buildings. So her proposed fix, on the right, was to exempt new construction to try and spur development. It was a pragmatic move, but her council colleagues, they ultimately shot it down.
Look, when you're an outsider trying to shake up the status quo, you're gonna face some resistance. It just comes with the territory. And for Brahman, that resistance has been intense, it was immediate, and it came from all sides, including from inside City Hall itself.
I mean, think about this. Just 6 months after her historic win, opponents launched a recall campaign to try and oust her. Now, it didn't end up getting enough signatures, but wow, what a signal of just how fiercely the establishment was willing to fight back.
And then there was this. A now infamous leaked audio recording revealed this backroom plot by fellow council members. They were planning to literally redraw her district map, specifically to weaken her support among renters and make her re-election much, much harder.
And the pushback wasn't just personal. It was about policy. Take this idea, to allow more apartments near public transit, a core piece of her housing platform. As you can see, it was soundly defeated in a 10-5 vote. And that just shows you how deep the ideological split on the council really is.
But here's the thing. Despite all that resistance, Raman's political career isn't just surviving, it's accelerating. And that brings us to her biggest, most audacious move yet, a run for mayor of Los Angeles.
And she did it in the most dramatic way possible. Just hours before the filing deadline, she announced she was jumping in to challenge the incumbent, Mayor Karen Bass, a politician who was not just an ally, but was once her mentor.
This quote really gets to the core of why she says she's running. She's framing this not as some personal ambition, but as a necessary intervention for a city that she believes is at a breaking point and is in desperate need of fundamental, systemic change.
And the battle lines are already being drawn. Ramon's camp is saying LA needs a leader to take responsibility for the whole system. Meanwhile, the Bass campaign is firing back, painting Ramon as an obstacle to progress on homelessness. It's shaping up to be a classic insider versus outsider fight.
But this brings us to a really crucial piece of data. After the recall attempt, the gerrymandering plot, and all the opposition, just look at these numbers from her 2024 council primary. She won re-election with over 50% of the vote, which means she avoided a runoff entirely. That tells you her base of support isn't just strong, it's fired up and ready to go.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question. We know she can defy the odds. She's already done it once in a historic way. But now, running as an outsider against the city's most powerful political figures, she's betting she can do it again, this time on an even bigger stage. The race for mayor is going to be the final test of whether a political earthquake can in fact strike the same city twice.